Good morning, class. I'm back, and this is the CYU for lesson 8.3, graphs of parent exponential functions. Just real quickly, the most basic exponential function we call the parent function have the form y equals b to the x. That's your basic exponential function. Where b is greater than 1, growth, b is less than 1, decay, remembering that b is positive. The domain for both are always all real numbers. The range is y is greater than 0, and we say that y equals 0 is a horizontal asymptote. Also, the y-intercept for any function is when x is 0. So you plug 0 in, and b to the 0 is 1. So for any b, the y-intercept, for any base, the y-intercept is going to be 1. Likewise, for any base, when x is 1, you will get b. So, all right, so there you go. And the bigger b is, the steeper the graph is, the faster it grows. All right, so b affects the steepness of the graph. So the first question, let g of x equals 1/3 to the x power. Will the graph of g be increasing or decreasing? Since b is less than 1, g is decreasing because it's decay. Identify the y-intercept of the graph. Well, again, for any function, x equals 0 is where the y-intercept is. So you plug 1/3 to the 0, it's 1. So we know 0, 1 is on the graph. We can even put a little dot there. Identify the horizontal asymptote of g. Well, for exponentials, your parent graph exponentials, the horizontal asymptote is always going to be y equals 0. So it's going to be down here, and I'm going to, let's see, it will be right there. I'm going to make it bigger once I do this by circling it and increasing the font size. Okay, so it says identify the horizontal asymptote. That's going to be y equals 0. Okay, find the domain and range of g. The domain for exponentials is always all real numbers with no exclusions. The range, though, is restricted. The range for is going to be y is greater than 0. Notice I don't say greater than or equal to, because it can never equal 0, because y equals 0 is a horizontal asymptote. Okay. Will the graph be steeper at x equals 1 or x equals 3? So let's go ahead and plot the points. So let's just do this. So when x is 1, that's 1/3. So when x equals 1, that's 1/3 to the first. So it's a third. So you got to get kind of low. So it's a third, which is roughly right there. When x is 2, it'll be 1/9. It gets even closer, and you can see we just keep getting closer to the right. When x is -1, we can calculate what is x equals -1. That's 1/3 to the -1. The -1 exponent, the negative exponent, flips to the base, and it's just 3/1 to the first, which is 3. So when we go to the left, we're at 1, 2, 3, right there. When x is -2, we're going to be at, it's going to be 3 squared, we're going to be at 9, which is right there. When x is -3, 1/3 to the -3 is a positive 27. So here's 24, 25, 26, 27. Looks like it's right there. And we can connect the dots with a nice smooth curve. And you see it flans out and follows the x-axis. Will the graph be steeper at x equals 1 here or 3? And it's going to be, since it's flattening out, as we get further to the right, x is steeper, the graph is steeper at x equals 1. You could even say, if you said when is the graph steeper at x equals -2 and x equals 2, you would say at x equals -2 because that's further to the left. And you can kind of see that here. Here's the slope. Here's the, if you draw a little tangent line, a little graph that kind of indicates the steepness. You see it's like that, and then this one's flatter, so that's the less steep, less steep, less steep as we go out. So the graph is always steeper for this one when x is smaller to the left. Okay. Now the graph of f of x equals 3 to the x. They want us to, are shown, label each group with its correct function name, explain your thinking. Well, f of x is growth because the base is growth. H of x is growth. Both have bases larger than 1. Okay. However, g of x is decay because b is less than 1. Of course, they always want to put the greater than 0. So there's only one decay graph showing. That's the solid white one. This one, right here. Oh, golly, I'm having issues. Yeah, the one that starts high. That's not high, that's high. And goes down to 0. That's decay. So that is g of x. Okay. H and f are both growth. But notice, for f, the base is 3. For h, the base is 13. The base for h is greater than the base for f. So that means h of x is steeper. H of x is steeper than f of x. Because b for h is greater than b for f. So which one's steeper? It's the dotted one is steeper, so that's got to be h of x because it's steeper. And then obviously the one that's left is f. Okay, and there you go. That's your check your understanding. Have a good day.